you guys for coming out. Welcome to our town hall. This is Ag Futures Cleveland, all right? That's an acronym. What do you guys think Ag is an acronym for? Don't say it too loud. Say it again. Agriculture. Agriculture, right? So these have some of our students here. You guys are from Lincoln West, right? Yeah. That's good. Thank you guys for coming out. No, we want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out today. Like I said, weather-wise, all morning, I've been on the freeway. It's been rainy. It's been cloudy. It's one of those days where you just want to stay in the house. But we really appreciate you guys taking the time to be here with us, right? This is really like our coming out party for us as a collective. We have an amazing team that I work with personally.
Well, thank you.
Miss Tony right here and Annabelle. They're really the superstars behind everything you see here today.
So who are you?
Little old me. Just an urban farmer. I've been at this for at least a decade and a half, right? Really trailblazing, being a pioneer, working countless hours, 2-3 jobs, right? And so it's been a process to get here, but I'm thankful, right? And so to be able to give back and share my experience as being an urban farmer, right? And to be able to collaborate with amazing people, right? We're farmers, right? This collective that you see here, different areas of the city, people that are really passionate about what they do, right? Before, all the glitz and, all the programs they had through our government. Is that me? What's going on?
It's okay.
Oh, it's okay. Okay. Yeah, but we've been at this for a while, and we're thankful, right, to be here. And so one of the reasons we put together Ag Futures Cleveland was to actually bring those resources, provide the training, the workshops, tours, right, of our urban farms. Right here, you have a collective of 3 urban farms. We work with other urban farms as well throughout Cleveland, where we do trainings and workshops, right? To really train the next generation of urban farmers, right? We have some key institutions here today. I see people from OSU, NRCS, USDA. We're going to have a conversation where you guys are going to be able to ask questions, right? When we started off in urban agriculture, we didn't have these type of forums. I don't think so. Did we have these type of forums? Right? Where you can come, interact with people that supply the funding, right? Being able to network with people that's been in the industry, that has the experience of being an urban farmer, that can give you guidance, right? And so we're really thankful for the NRCS being able to partner with their organization, right? To really be able to have these workshops where we're implementing practices that are beneficial for urban farmers, right? When we started off, 15 years ago. 15.
About that.
About 15?
Yeah, 20.
So we're talking like over half a century of experience up here, right? You guys got to talk to us, but being able to have these workshops at our sites, different areas of the city, right, where we can service a larger demographic, right, where people can come and learn, be able to put their hands in the soil, hands-on experience is priceless, right? And so I'm just thankful, to be here. I'm thankful that you guys are here. Hopefully, with everyone that's here, you get something that you can take home with you, right? That's our purpose. Like, how can we, this is a give back, right? How can we get, what type of information can we give to you guys, right? Or practices you can learn right here at this town hall where you can go and implement those practices within your operations at your urban farm. Maybe you don't want to get your hands dirty, right? Maybe you want to go and work for, where's Tristan at? Is he here?
He's out. He's in. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you can go and work for the USDA or work with Wheel and the NRCS, right? We're of the mindset, everyone doesn't want to be a farmer, right? It's a lifestyle change. So you really have to be committed to actually growing food. And like I said, it's a lifestyle. But I'm not going to be too long. I'm just happy to be here.
Where your farm?
Oh yeah, we're in the Huff neighborhood. So we're like 10 minutes away from this location right here. And I'm just thankful for what I do. Yeah, so thank you guys. I'm going to introduce, we got to give Tanya her flowers, right?
Come on.
She's the brains behind everything, bringing it together. Y'all give it up for Tanya. You know, she gave us a call, and she said, I see this grant opportunity, right, to where we can go collectively, get funding, have programming, training at our sites for the broader community, right? You know, it would have been different if, per se, I individually go for a grant or Annabelle individually go for a grant, but us collectively, right? You have 3 farms, and we're looking to partner with other farms. Well, you can go and get this training for different practices that you can implement within your operation. So I didn't say it once. I'm not gonna be too long. So y'all give it up for Tanya.
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. The weather is pretty rough, and it's winter. It's pretty much here. The high school that came today, thank you so much. You guys can learn a lot from us. And anybody that's interested in farming and gardening and any kind of techniques, those resources are in the room. We have Will from the USDA. We have Benjamin back there with the table. Please see the table. He has plenty of resources on high tunnels, cover crops, all kinds of different grants and things and programs that you can get involved with. I'm Tanya Holmes, urban farmer for 15 years, retired nurse, over 45 years in nursing. And I wanted this because when we first started, I was going to OSU Extension to get any kind of programs that we had that was available. And then that was pretty much it. You sink or swim. So I'm thankful for you guys today, and I'm leave it to Annabelle.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. I'm Annabelle Corey, and I'm also an urban farmer. I run Bay Branch Farm, which is a half-acre market garden growing veggies and flowers on West 114th Street in Cleveland. I'm super excited to be here. I'm very grateful to work with Jamel and Tanya and also Morgan on Ag Futures Cleveland, and excited to share our experience. I started farming in 2010 on a part-time basis, did it for several years, and in 2021, that was my first season as a full-time farmer. And it took a minute to kind of embrace that identity after having a career. But honestly, like, I got to work outside. Monday we planted our garlic, and that was the most rewarding thing of the week for me, next to being here with you today. So I want to say thank you. I do want to give a shout out to Lincoln West, because the youth here, we need more farmers. We need more people growing food. So whether you're growing food on your own, or you're working with an institution that's helping organizations or farmers grow more food, we need you in our movement. So thank you for being here. We're really excited to share with you a lot of resources. I guess before I give up the mic, can I just see a show of hands of how many people are actually farming or gardening? Farmers or gardeners in the room?
Good. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. That's amazing. So I think I'm turning it back over to Jamel. Or
I have one thing.
oh, okay. Turn it back over to Tanya.
Thank you. When you registered, I'm hoping everybody got a ticket, because I'm going to be calling some numbers and passing out some prizes while you're also here. I'm going to bring it back to Jamel. Thank you. You want me to leave this here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did everyone get a folder? Y'all give it up for these great people again, guys. You guys should have had a folder at your table. If you haven't gotten a folder, please raise your hand so we can get one to you. Do we have more folders? We got one over here, 2 over here. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah, so within the folder, you should have got the program. It really breaks down how this event is going to go. We have some information on some of our partners, like Neighborhood Connections, which has really been supportive when it comes to urban agriculture. We actually have a sheet within the folder that lists all the funding opportunities, right? This is a cheat sheet. Don't lose it, right? If you're looking to scale your operations, this is just a start. You still have to fill out the paperwork, right? And implement the actual practices. But this is actually not a cheat sheet, but it's a resource, right? Share it with your constituents, your neighbors. If you're looking to start your own urban farm, your operation, this is really a jump start for you, right? This is the type of information that's been gathered where you have it in one place in space, where it's really helpful for new and beginning farmers. So, yeah, share with your networks. Do we? I think I have some more information. What was that? That wasn't me. Let me try this other microphone, guys. Hello. Do we have a copy of the slideshow? It's on the projector? Yeah. We don't have a physical copy?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah. It's in the folder. It's the same as this, right here.
Got it. Yeah, got it. Hello. Testing. We're having some technical difficulties. Give me a few seconds, guys. Hello? Testing. Can you guys hear me back there? All right, great. So I'm going to go over this pamphlet we have here. It really breaks down us as a collective, our mission, and what we intend to accomplish, and what we're going to accomplish as a collective with Ag Futures Cleveland, right? With service in the greater Cleveland area, okay? So vision, to cultivate a greener and healthier Cleveland through urban ag, right? Usually when you're growing your own food, you make better decisions on what you consume. Well, you should. You know, I had a Coke yesterday, but that's another story. But you should be more mindful of what you're consuming, right? And how that produce is being grown, right? And, and the different practices that's used to grow that actual produce. Empower and inspire individuals on sustainable farmer practices. That's where we want to thank the NRCS, right, in their efforts on making funding available for practices that promote sustainable agriculture. So we want to thank you guys for your efforts. Create a network of urban farmers focus on enhancing food security, promoting biodiversity, and reducing the carbon footprint associated with food production, right? It's a fact, right? When you grow food in local communities, you're taking away from that carbon footprint of, it's little by little, it's not something you're going to achieve within the next year or two. But eventually, over time, when you have communities that are growing their own food, you have healthier communities and more sustainable communities. And so that takes away from our carbon footprint within our environment, right? Which creates a healthier environment for the future, for our future generations, right? Or for young people like the students at Lincoln West, right? That are going to inherit this earth. Cultivate a city where urban farming plays a pivotal role in creating more resilient, sustainable, and ecologically balanced food systems, right? We have an imbalance. I think we were all aware of that during COVID, right? When you were going into grocery stores and you didn't have the supply that was needed to sustain communities, right? I live in Euclid. We had to drive out to Lake County. How sustainable is that, right? I tell people all the time, you should have a Village Family Farms in every neighborhood. This is not, or Ridall in every neighborhood, right? Or Ohio City Farm in every neighborhood. This is not, these are communities that we have to sustain. And moving forward, we're going to have more operations and more support on a federal and local level when it comes to urban agriculture. That's our vision. What is Ag Futures Cleveland? A collaborative of urban growers aimed at ensuring the sustainable future of agriculture, right? We just sat here and told you, 15 over half a century of experience, right? And I've seen people in here that I respect, I admire, that were doing this before I got started, right? So I'm thankful for, you guys keeping that torch lit, right? And being able to pass that baton. But one day, we're going to have to pass the baton. And who's going to come behind us and do the work, right? And so, big ups to Lincoln West again. Y'all give it up for Lincoln West again. These are our future leaders in agriculture, right? So we have to really have a sustainable future for agriculture, right? And really implementing the practices, at the trainings and workshops that we'll have at our farms and other community partners will really solidify that sustainable future for agriculture in Cleveland. What's next? Ag Future Cleveland aims to empower farmers and maximizing yield through environmentally sound farming practices and build a community of farmers that will shape the future in agriculture for generations to come, right? You have to have support, right? You're talking about, we're city slickers, right? I'm not from the country. I grew up on Huff, right? But I did have, I did see older people, right, that came from the South. When they came, I grew up in a majority African American neighborhood, right? So a lot of the people that lived in Huff, they came from Mississippi, they came from Georgia. So I'm of the generation where I was able to see urban farming before it was urban farming, right? To where people were gardening on side lots before the funding, right? My grandfather was growing in his backyard before, they knew the health benefits. They just knew to eat fresh cabbage, some nice collards, right? With a little frost on it, make it a little sweeter. But I come from that generation, that last generation that saw urban farming in practice before all of this, right? And we got away from that. But with our efforts and the efforts of the institutional backers like the USDA and the NRCS and being able to fund these practices, it's going to be a brighter future for urban agriculture here in Cleveland. How can you get involved? If you would like to get involved, raise your hand for a more sustainable future of agriculture here in Cleveland, if you want to get involved. Right? It's just showing up to meetings like this, being able to talk with the heads of different organizations, vested partners, right? People that supply or make accessible the funding opportunities for new and beginning farmers, the funding opportunities for people that just want to find out, if it's something, volunteering at different farms. Another thing we plan to do as a collective, increase knowledge and skills. Participants can gain insight into various urban farming techniques, including vertical gardening, hydroponics, soil health, and climate smart practices, right? So much knowledge, so much know-how that I've gained over this last 15 years, working within this space. I actually got my start with Miss Hill. She's from Valdosta, Georgia, right? And so those are the people that taught me. Or Mr. Leroy, who was a sharecropper down in Virginia, right? Being able, learning from them, I passed that information along to other farmers. We've had 3 participants, right, of people that worked actually trained at my farm. Now they have their own operations, right? How can we keep that going? How can we provide the resources, right, and work with our institutional partners to make sure that these trainings and workshops are available, right, to really solidify, right, and train up the next generation of urban farmers here in Cleveland. Youth engagement. Ag Futures Cleveland is dedicated to nurturing the next generation of passion for sustainable urban agriculture through impactful summer programming and collaboration with schools, through interactive workshops, garden installation, and educational resources. We aim to cultivate a generation that not only appreciates the importance of green initiatives, but actively participates in shaping a greener, healthier future for our cities, right? When you talk about healthcare, if you're eating the right foods, if you're out in nature, naturally you're going to be healthy, right? When you know how your food is grown, like I said, you make more sound choices when it comes to what you consume. When you're more mindful of what it takes to grow food. When was the last time who's been to a farmer's market within the last month? Raise your hand. That's all. Who's been to, who has a CSA in here? CSA. It's a share you get, you have a CSA? Okay. But those are the type of things that we have to implement. Those are the practices that we have to support, right? When you're talking about urban ag. You put a lot of time and effort. And when you know the sacrifice that urban farmers, that they actually put in on a daily, taking away from, really sustaining this industry, right? We're at the beginning of a cusp of a new industry here in Cleveland, right? A lot of people beforehand saw farming as something that was rural, right? We're here to tell you that we have a community of farmers right here in Cleveland. Over 400 that are really shaping, thank you, the future of ag here in Cleveland. Another way you can get involved is get support at no cost through our new and beginning farmers mentoring program, right? That's one thing we're implementing. One thing that, I had the benefit of, and God rest his spirit, is Mansfield Frazier, the founder of Chateau Huff, right? Our farm is located on 89th and Huff, and they're right there. He has a vineyard right on 66th and Huff. But I had the benefit of having a mentor, right? Working 12 to 14 hour days, right? Being able to bounce ideas and get his insight and get his wisdom. But that's something we're implementing as a collective, right? And so we have a website where you'll be able to, if you have any questions, you'll be able to sign up on the website and bounce ideas, off of us. What do you think? What practices are best for my operation? That is our give back, right? To be able to mentor established farmers, right? And new and beginning farmers. Thank you. Thank you. Another thing you can do to support us is come to one of our urban gardener, and like you're doing right now, you guys are here, right? And we want to thank you for being here. Let me get that. That's right.
Yes, Lincoln West.
It's to come out to our town halls, and that's what you guys are doing. You guys are here. So we want to thank you guys for being here, right? And supporting our efforts and our mission, right? Of being able to provide that training and those workshops to other farmers here in the greater Cleveland area. Thank you guys.
All right.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be with you. My name's Morgan. I'm with Fair Food Access Raises Everyone, and we're a partner with these amazing growers and just supporting this work here with Ag Futures Cleveland. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but there's always some, right? Wherever you go. So I'm so excited that you all are here. I see new faces. I don't want to say old faces, but faces I've known for a long time. So it's really great to be together with you all, and I really appreciate the turnout and you spending your time with us here today. So we have an amazing panel, but we're actually missing someone. Ms. Nicole DeBose, you coming up here on this panel? Oh, morning, you're here. Oh, great. Okay, I didn't see you behind Tim. Fantastic. Okay, great. We have an amazing panel here today. We've got a lot of different folks who probably touch your operations as urban farmers and community gardeners and backyard gardeners who have resources to share, insights to share, and also how to kind of navigate, I think, some of the opportunities that each of these agencies and partners can offer you. So we're going to do a moderated panel this morning. Thank you all. For those of you who registered through Eventbrite, you sent us all your questions. Those are the questions that we are using this morning, and the same with our breakout topics later this afternoon over lunch. What I would like to do is share that we have some note cards on your tables. If you guys have questions while we're doing the panels that you want to ask during Q&A, Annabelle is over here. Just raise your hand and she's going to kind of get all the cards so we can do Q&A after the initial round of questions. So we're just going to start off and are we okay without a microphone? How are we feeling about that? So far so good? Can you guys use your outdoor voices? Okay, fantastic. So I wonder if you each could introduce yourselves. Thank you. Sorry. Each introduce yourselves, your organization, and what resources you might have for new and beginning urban farmers and even experienced ones.
I don't think I'll need that, so.
You want to start us off, Kevin?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. All right. My name is Kevin Schmatzer. I'm with the City of Cleveland's Department of Economic Development. I have been there through, you ready for this? 4 mayors, so which equates to 26 years. I was a young guy out of graduate school in the late 90s when I got started with the city. A little bit about my involvement. You're thinking, what does a guy with a tie have anything to do with urban farming, you know? So I live in the city of Cleveland, but I grew up in the country. I grew up in Medina, Ohio as a kid. And I always liked to farm, even then, when I was a kid then. But I've lived in the city for many years. And the urban farming, if I could just say how I got involved and how this got started, started in 2008 when the housing foreclosure crisis started. Now we had a lot more land and available. And then it was individuals that I met at the time, like Morgan, who is up here, Joe Simperman, and other people there within the city of Cleveland having this idea about doing urban farming. What are we going to do with urban farming? And so we put a $50,000 grant together, and we created the Gardening for Greenbacks program. I'll talk more about that later, but I wanted to just give a little bit of history of how that got started from a little bit from the City of Cleveland perspective. And then including that, I'll share with you later on the ordinances that changed and came in place that allowed that to happen.
Thank you, Kevin. Director Hernandez.
Hi, good afternoon. Oh, it's still morning. Nobody called me on it. Good morning. My name's Alyssa Hernandez. I serve as the Director of Community Development for the City of Cleveland. I was hired by Mayor Bibb's transition team. I moved from Florida and got here about 3 years ago where I took over the role. Now, what does community development have to do with you folks in this room? We are the folks that are currently responsible for over 18,000 parcels of vacant land. So that is how we are involved in this work, and so it's through that land, that real estate, and getting site access. Spoiler alert. We know that our relationship has not always been as easy and as fluid as it could be and should be. And I want to just first acknowledge that. I feel like, as we are improving our processes, it's always good to take the time and acknowledge where we have not always been helpful in this space. Because that is the first part of changing behavior. And so I want you to know that under this administration, we are looking very differently at vacant land and how we are repurposing vacant land. The good news is there's a lot of land available. When I talk to colleagues all across the country and we're talking about housing or we're talking about, different gardening programs or a whole host of other things, whether it's California or whether I'm talking to colleagues in Boston, what they don't have is what we do have, which is land. And they're not making any more of it, right? And so we have the opportunity, because we have site control as a city of so much vacant land. I often say that all of that land, it could be, it's one of the city's greatest liabilities. But it is also one of our greatest assets if we use it like an asset. And so that is really speaks to the philosophical change that we are having within Land Bank, within my Department of Community Development, but really looking at real estate and land from a city perspective, and kind of zooming it out from just one program or another to what is the strategic plan for land. And so we are having ongoing conversations about what that looks like. And so while I would love to be here and offer you, here's all the new things that we're doing, we are really still in transition. And so what that means is, in spaces like this, it's really good for us to hear feedback from you on what you need to see. It is our goal to make the easy things easier. That has not always been the case. But we know that is step number one in repairing relationship and helping you and empowering you to do the great work that you all do every single day in supporting our communities. So I'm excited to be here today. We've got some colleagues from the city here that I'm happy to be alongside of, but that's what I'll share at this point.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody, I am Tim Deem. I'm the Planning and Design Specialist at Western Reserve Land Conservancy. If you haven't heard of our organization, we are Ohio's largest land trust. We have conserved over 75,000 acres throughout Northeast Ohio, I think in like 29 counties. And we also have a presence here in Cleveland where we work on repurposing vacant land, a lot of it owned by the Land Bank, in partnership with community groups. So we have a number of projects that have been developed already or that we're currently developing that you're going to be invited to participate in, which I'll talk about later today. And we also have a very strong reforestation program. So if you're interested in trees and tree planting, we can kind of provide a full suite of opportunities for you to learn about trees, get trees, plant trees, advocate for trees. And finally, we do a lot of kind of advocacy or working with Director Hernandez and other folks at the city to help improve those processes that they have space for improvement. So we're trying to kind of address vacant land and the environment in Cleveland in a very holistic way. So there's a lot of great ways we can partner.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is William Cook. I'm an urban conservationist.
Can y'all hear him back there?
Yes.
My name is William Cook. I'm the urban conservationist. I cover the city of Cleveland and the city of Akron. So I'm with the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Natural Resources Conservation Services. Over here to the back, you'll see Ben. He's with the Farm Service Agency. That's our sister agency, FSA. You'll hear a lot of acronyms, the Farm Service Agency. So with NRCS, what we do is we fix resource concerns, natural resource concerns. Before it was just soil, but now they added an H to that, the human aspect of it. So because Cleveland is in a food desert, that resource concern allows you guys to apply for a lot of our programs. So one thing we have, through our Environmental Quality Incentive Program, you'll hear EQIP, or our Conservation Stewardship Program, you'll hear CSP. Through those programs, you can apply for high tunnels, raised beds, mulch, cover crops, waste storage. It's over 100 or so practices that you can apply for through NRCS. I can go through some details of how to apply and eligibility later, but the major thing is to be eligible for our programs, you have to be a farmer, meaning you have to be growing something at the time of application. But yeah, I can get
Is
into
it
it.
1 year or 2 years you have to be?
One.
1 year, guys. So a couple of people called me and wanted to get a high tunnel, but I know that there's some qualifications. So the qualifications, first thing is that you have to be already growing something, at least for a year. And it'll go by so quick. They have a lot of good programs, the cover crop program, that it helps the soil when you know, through the winter to the next season. They have the high tunnel program, monarch butterflies, a pollinator program.
Yeah, so a lot like within our CSP, for example, that's Conservation Stewardship Program. That's a program where you can set land aside for like a pollinator plot to help wildlife, or monarch butterfly plot or something like that. You have a lot of other wildlife conservation
So
programs
there's
as
grants
well.
for that. So if you have some space to grow some pollinator, to help the bees and the butterflies, there's funding for that. So he will be a person to talk to or Ben.
And then I cover the city of Cleveland, city of Akron, East Cleveland, and Shaker Heights. My counterpart is John Schwartz. He covers everything outside of that. So the rest of the county. Yeah, that's it.
Good stuff, guys. Get them grants. A lot of people call me about grants. This is the programs.
And so I'm gonna say one more thing. So Ms. Holmes, she said grant. So it's not
They don't
considered
call it
grant.
grant.
It's a cost share program, meaning that you get half the money up front. So if you're a beginning farmer, or so most beginning farmers, if you're a beginning farmer, meaning you've been growing for less than 10 years, you qualify for advance payment. So let's say your contract is for $20,000, you'll get $10,000 up front, and then once the practice is complete and we come out and check it, then you'll get the other half of the funding. So you don't get the whole thing up front, and the practices have to be checked out and completed before you'll get the other half. So it may be money out of your pocket, so just keep that in mind as well.
He's being honest.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you that, for example, if you wanted to have some space to put down some seeds for the bees and the butterflies, they call it the pollinator area. Just give you an example, one of my pollinator areas is probably, I'm gonna say $2,500 just for a small space. But some people got a whole lot of space, so it depends on the size, and they go into details with that. And yeah, they give you like half up, but I remember just picking up the seeds and just putting it down, just because it's not much to get the stuff. So just go ahead and do it, and then let Bill know. It don't take long, a couple of weeks, couple of months, depending on who, because he has a lot on his plate, so just bug the hell out of him.
Ms. Holmes makes it seem simple, but like when you plant the seeds, I need the seed. So like, for example, with pollinators, so she would plant it, I would need the seed tags showing what you planted, at what rate, how much pure live seed is there. It's a lot more, it's simple, but you know, I don't want to make it sound.
It's not easy, it's not
Yeah.
hard, it's just work.
I want to keep your expectations where they should be. Right?
And more, oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
Yes, can everyone hear me? Yeah. I have a little voice, but my name is Morning Robinson. I am the Urban Agriculture and Natural Resources Educator for Ohio State University Extension here in Cuyahoga County. So I deliver all of our adult certificate programs. We have our Master Gardener program, our Market Gardener program, our Ohio Certified Volunteer Naturalist program. A lot of these are acronyms that you'll hear or see on our website. But what we do is outreach and education on behalf of the College of Food, Ag, and Environmental Sciences.
So Director Hernandez, I'm going to come back to you, because I know land is always a hot topic. That was the #1 thing people wanted to talk about, and I'm sure that is no surprise to you. So I wondered if you could share, it sounds like you all are in transition at the land bank and the community development. Can you share some of the things that you've been working on since you've been in this position, and some of the changes that you've been making at the land bank, and maybe some of the current options that urban farmers and gardeners who want to access land have with the land bank?
Sure. So we are, Does everybody, I'm going to take a step back and talk about what the city land bank is versus what the county land bank is, because that is a distinction that a lot of people might not be familiar with. So I'm going to take that step. So the city of Cleveland has the majority of the land that is under my jurisdiction in the residential land bank, city land bank. Has come from land where houses probably used to be. They were likely demoed in the last, 20, 15 years. And then that leaves, where houses were, that leaves a lot of space. So what we call is, we talk about it as in terms of a lot of missing teeth. So if you're looking at a block that might have, 4 houses where 20 houses used to be, and there's a lot of vacant land surrounding that is a frequent occurrence, particularly on the east side of Cleveland. Those are typically City of Cleveland land bank lots. Where houses used to be, they're typically zoned residential. All right, so that's when we talk about those 18,000 parcels, that's what we're talking about. Now, the city also has a commercial land bank, and I will tee up Kevin in a moment to talk about what the city's commercial land bank does. So what the city land bank is not, the residential city land bank is not, we don't have any structures. So it is just that, bare soil. Now, the demolition process of taking down the houses, there were practices from previous decades where they collapsed the house on top into what is the basement. So that land may not be very stable, and so that is just something that I've been made aware of, and of course there's site preparation that needs to come anytime that you are changing the use from where a house used to be to any other use other than that, right? Okay, so that is the city land bank. The city land bank, which has the residential side of it, my shop, and the economic development side. And I'll take a pause there and have Kevin talk a touch about the commercial land bank.
So yeah, the commercial land bank, it's similar, but like Director Hernandez said, they're a little bit different. I'll give you an example. Over up at 92nd in Detroit, who's been to the Cleveland Kennel on the west side? 2 people, okay. What that was, it was a 4-story, a 500,000 square foot former manufacturing building called Midland Steel. There was a guy who took that over and did some very horrible things with it. Had all kinds of illegal building activities. The city closed it down, and it sat there, and crime was going on there. Years ago, when the girls were abducted on the west side, they searched in this building for them. I mean, there was a lot of things. And the city, what we did on this 4-acre parcel was to go through and acquire this and put it into our land bank. But what we had to do, like Director Hernandez said, is we don't want structures on it, so we had to take this structure down. We also had to do an environmental assessments on what was with the land. Well, to make a very long story short and a very long time on this, it cost us close to $9 million on this 4 acres to not only tear the building down, but to clean up the soil. We found that there was a gas tank that was the side of a railroad car that still had the oil in it that was buried under the ground. There used to be a gas station back in 1910 on the corner that was taken down, and a lot of that was buried there. So it cost all that money, the city made it to take it into our commercial land bank to prepare it. Didn't know what we were going to do with it, but to clean it up and prepare it for the 4-acre site, which is now the Cleveland Kennel. So that's just a little bit, about the commercial land bank.
I live 2 blocks from there, so thank you for cleaning up. I was like, oh my gosh, so I've been there 20 years, so I did not even know that whole story.
Yeah, and you got like the 1 second of a book on that stuff.
And
Talk offline.
and so we're often the last resort to take the land. By the time the land gets to the city of Cleveland, private, businesses or, the market, as you will, there's not interest in it. And so as a last resort, so if the private market is not interested in it, then it goes and sort of, it becomes available for the county land bank. And I'll talk a sec more about that. But after that, then if they don't want it, then it often comes to the city of Cleveland as a last resort. And there's been a lot of last resort, which is why we have a lot of vacant land. All right, so the county land bank, Cuyahoga County Land Bank, they are a quasi-governmental organization. They are led by Ricardo Leon right now. He was just newly named. Gus Frangos recently tragically passed away, and Ricardo is his predecessor. And the good thing is we have a really good relationship with Ricardo and with the County Land Bank. And under the BIP administration, we've really strengthened that relationship. But the Cuyahoga Land Bank often works as developers. So where we have the land, they are often doing redevelopment all across the city. So that's one of and they do have some structures. So there are some homes that the County Land Bank has. So just wanted to talk for a moment, and I talked for a few more moments than I anticipated to, but the differences between the County Land Bank, the City Land Bank, and the different parts of the City Land Bank, I think, need to be better understood so that you know who to go to for what. So quickly, I will kind of preview some of these things that have been changes that we have made. The first is the cost. So land was not following the policies that are set forth by our state, and we were really giving the land away at very low amounts. How many of you heard $200 and you get land in the city of Cleveland? Okay, so that was a long time practice that was really out of policy, out of step with how the state governs the program that allows us to do this. And so without having a competitive process, that was really, we weren't doing what we were supposed to be doing. So instead of going through and doing assessments on every single parcel of vacant land for what the value is, what we did was we used our tax abatement map to set up a 3-neighborhood typology map. So we have opportunity neighborhoods. Those are your historically redlined areas in the city. We have your middle neighborhoods, which are often on the edge of the city, and then you have market rate neighborhoods where the market is taking hold. Those would be your Ohio City, Tremont areas. And so what we do is we have set a price per square foot for each of those areas. We have a map. And so what that means is this is a transparent process where, based on the square footage and where it is located, where that land is located, we have a set price. So that is a difference. We also have changed our processes quite significantly, as well as our personnel. These are things that we continue to change, again, to try to make the easy things easier. And we are still very much in process. I've taken a lot of time, so I'm going to pause there, but happy to continue talking with you all individually, or as we continue this conversation to hopefully share with you a little bit more knowledge on it, as well as our philosophy, so you can understand where we're taking land bank.
So I'm going to just do a quick add-on for you, Director, from the audience. So they were asking kind of, will the land bank sell me any parcels for agricultural purposes? So with the new pricing, if I see, let's say, a lot, well, maybe Midtown's becoming hot over here. So Maybe another lot that's like $5,000 market price. Can an urban farmer buy that lot from the land bank at the price listed?
The price listed,
Like,
Where? On the-
yeah. on the
yes,
website.
so often, yes.
Okay.
Often, yes. So we have talked about what are some of the uses. It could go towards residential, which could be new construction, but it could also go towards, gardening, green space. There are many uses. With 18,000 parcels of land, it is not my philosophy nor that of the BIM administration. There is no way that we are going to build in a short period of time 18,000 homes, right? We would love to see that, but that is just really not a reality. We also won't see 18,000 gardens, right? That's a lot of land. So I often say we're not going to side yard or we're not going to community garden our way out of 18,000 parcels. We have to do many things. So we have to expand our creativity and go beyond this could be a house or this could be a side garden, right? And so yes, you can do that. Now, we are also working with our partners at the CDCs and with City Council to identify what is the best use of this land. So if you are in the middle of one of those blocks that I said that have a lot of open teeth and there's not a lot of market activity, maybe you're far away from a commercial corridor, you're going to be more likely to get that land. Now, if you are in the middle of a hot market neighborhood and you're trying to go right on a commercial corridor, you might not be able to get the land for that purpose. But many parts of our city you're able to use for agriculture. Okay.
Great, thank you.
I want to
So talk, yeah, go ahead.
So, in the past, it's been, I have some space, I want to add on some space, a partial. And you fill out the application, you fill it up, you send it in, and it goes through a whole long year process. I recently understood that it's changed. So could you talk about that? Because I know people that's been calling me and say, I put my application in a year ago and I still haven't heard anything. Or so it hasn't changed to where it's 3 months, 6 months, maybe not go to. I know the mayor's the last person to sign it, correct? So is it still the same or is it shortened some?
It is a much quicker process than it used to be. There are, where things get more complicated, look, when you are in government and you are not fully resourced and you don't have as many people as you would like to have to do the work when you're under resourced, we don't deal with nuance well. So if we identify that this would be an ideal parcel for this use, but then somebody says, I would like to do this use with it instead, we don't really deal with the nuance of that well. We are we are getting better with that. We are getting quicker with that. What we are dealing with right now is legacy applications that were around before the city had an online system that were 2 to 3 managers ago, where paper was on a desk that may not be on a desk anymore. What I would do in this case is I would encourage the applicant to just reach out to us, see what the status of their application is. Now that we have moved to an online application system, and you can come if you don't have access to online or you need some technical help, come to our office. We have a group of people, a new Office of Community Engagement, where we have 5 people around the clock that will sit with you. We'll sit at a computer. We'll fax what needs to be faxed. We'll print what needs to be printed, right? We have a brand new space that's right past our front desk where it is our customer service area. So that type of attention is very different. But the application is online.
What'd you say?
The application is online starting this January. So what I would encourage.
Starting in January?
Starting this past January. So we've been online since January. So right now you can go to our website, You can identify a parcel that you're interested in. You can apply for it online, and you will, at this point, get a weekly update on the status of where your application is.
Thank you. Listen, guys, I've been doing this for 15 years. I do own my own parcel right now, and I'm trying to expand. But I recently was at an urban farm conference in Detroit, and this is the same thing people are having. Like, the whole process takes so long that it kind of makes you feel like I don't even want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. Reach out to us, contact us. And we will help to solve whatever issue. And things have been lost in translation, right? So call us and make sure that you're in full understanding of your status and of your application. And if that parcel, check the website to see if that parcel is even available anymore, if it's been a long time. So happy to walk through that process. But now we are fully online, and we are working to continue. I have a meeting on Friday about how we can update our online system to make sure that it's the most transparent, accurate, and consistent information. Are we taking questions from the audience?
So I've got a bunch up here. So
Go ahead.
but you all are going to be available after people
Yes.
ask questions about specific projects.
Yes,
Tim,
and I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
One more thing.
Yeah.
We are also working on a lease-to-own program. Sitting at some of these meetings and hearing from you all, that's why it's really important that I get out of City Hall and I come to spaces like this to hear what some of your needs are, so that I can move policy towards the direction of what you need. So we are working on formalizing all of our processes, getting them up on the website, making sure that everything is absolutely transparent and consistent. We are working on a lease-to-own program. It has not always been easy. The previous practice used to be you just lease and lease and lease every single year, and there's no opportunity for you to buy.
Yes.
We are moving away from that towards giving an opportunity for folks to actually own that land after a period of due diligence. So I just wanted to share that you have been heard, and we are working to get that program stood up for you.
Wow, guys, that is so big. So many urban farmers here in Cleveland have been farming on leased land. So you get a lease from the city for it used to be a couple years, and then you gotta go back and do the process. But then you think about it, when you're working the land, you're using your own, not only your energy and volunteers and money out your pocket and God knows what else. That's a lot of work, putting soil and it's a lot of work. So it's nice to have this program here that you can actually own that land. So that's awesome. Thank you for that.
So Tim, I know you did maybe more than 2-year deep dive into vacant land with the Cleveland Initiative. I wonder if you can share some of the tools that you all have developed, some of the data that people now have access to through Cleveland and your work at Western Reserve. And then what advice would you have for people looking for land? What tools and resources should they be accessing as they're dreaming about their big farm or their big garden dreams?
Yeah, I think that you just heard Director Hernandez talk a lot about the outcomes of Cleveland. I think we kind of help support a lot of those initiatives and have been side by side with the land bank as they've been creating the online application or researching this lease to own program, and trying to translate a lot of the input we heard throughout that 2-year period into ways that the land bank can kind of act on it and use it internally. So there's not really going to be like a separate Cleveland tool out there. Like, it's all trying to filter into making the land bank a more easy and responsive place for people to go and access parcels for whatever purpose they deem, whatever they desire to do. So a big part of the goal of Cleveland was just figuring out like where are people getting stuck in this process. So we found the application process was this big kind of mystery bucket for a lot of people, including ourselves, when we were trying to do projects. And we know that kind of the process of determining like where is a good parcel to do a certain project on is still kind of a mystery bucket, and that requires a lot of coordination from a lot of stakeholders. So a lot of folks might know that your council person has to sign off on a project, your CDC has to sign off on a project, and your neighborhood planner has to sign off on a project. If any of those entities like have a question or a disagreement, it can just kind of like sidetrack that application for a long time.
And it's a 45-day period where they get to.
Yes,
to
it's a 45-day
weigh in.
period. Yeah,
That's built in.
so there's all these kind of nuances in terms of like where that application goes, and so it's partially kind of working with those other groups and figuring out like, okay, where are they having problems, and trying to solve all these pieces of the puzzle and put them all together kind of in the same time. It just takes a lot of time to coordinate that. But I think a lot of the stuff that Director Hernandez just touched on are kind of the outcomes and like the direction we're trying to move the land bank in to make it more of a place that people can use on a day-to-day basis for the things they want to do.
Thank you. That's good, guys. Ooh, you don't know how good that is.
So Will, we're gonna pivot to you a little bit and some of these cost share programs. And I've also had a couple questions here around improving our tree canopy, agroecology, forestation. I'm wondering if you could talk about some of the programs that are available through NRCS, and then maybe weave in how trees, native plants, pollinators can also be a part of that urban agriculture landscape.
Okay, so as far as forestry specifically, we do have our brush management plan or program. Well, brush management is a practice under our environmental quality incentive program. But with brush management, you can do things like remove invasive species like honeysuckle, tree of heaven, or whatever. And then we also have what's called crop tree release, where you might cut down these few small trees in order to make room for other ones. We pay for forestry management plans and things like that in order to help forestry. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what are some of the, I think, high-level NRCS programs that a lot of urban farmers take advantage of? I think we've all seen the High Tunnel program. Could you kind of talk about that? And if someone in this audience is like, ooh, I want to learn more about the pollinator program, the cover crop program, how would someone get started?
Right, so it's all one program. It's all one thing. It's just different practices under it, right? So it's the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, and under that program, you have hundreds of practices. And so when you apply for the program, we'll come out to your farm, we go through everything, and we kind of decide on what, you and me together kind of decide on what's needed out there based on what's going on. So whether it be the forestry management plan, I'll call the forester, because I'm not a forester, so I would call the forester, they would come out, we would walk the whole land with you, even if you had range land or something like that, where you're doing a pasture with cows. So everything we do, every conservation practice we do is under the Environmental Quality Incentive Program. The second, after you finish that program, so you installed all the, what's the word I'm looking for? So you installed the high tunnel, the raised beds, you have everything going. And now it's just time to maintain. So the CSP program she was talking about, Conservation Stewardship Program, that's what that's about. So now with that one, you get paid for doing things you already done or keeping the standards up. So for example, if you planted pollinators for the next year, you want to do another activity, we would do something like bluebird boxes or bat boxes or something like that. Or it's a whole lot of practices. Did I answer the question? I'm not sure. Okay.
I have a question. Did you bring something like that where we can?
So I brought everything over here on this table here. You'll see how to apply. I have my card there. And then I'll mention this too for the students. So I've been with the agency probably about 14 years now. 3 of those years was in college. I was a USDA scholar. So with USDA, you can go to any land grant institution. It's called a USDA scholarship. It's for any land grant institution like Ohio State, Central State, Michigan State. But if you have over a 3.0 GPA and you're applying for agriculture, they'll kind of pay for your school for free.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to mention that too.
So a follow-up for that, Will, and I'm wondering if it came from one of our students. Why is it important for youth to get involved in the agricultural industry?
Why is it important? Well, to me, so I graduated from Central State. At the time I was there, they had I graduated in 2012. At that time, they didn't have an ag program. They just became a land grant school. So I took all of my ag classes at Wilmington College. So at Wilmington, we did everything from I literally raised the calf by hand. I mean, we did the feet, the hooves, all of that kind of stuff. But by doing that, you kind of realize the importance of it and how much Because a lot of times when you get into agriculture, you just think about farming. You don't realize all the other business opportunities within it. So I took some ag business classes, and you start seeing the value in making value-added products and whatnot. So for a lot of students, they get deterred because they think they're gonna have to be in the field getting their hands dirty. They don't see like, so I had to take GIS classes so a lot of my degree is in water resources management and environmental engineering, right? So like, we had to learn how to design the different waterways and things like that. So it's a lot more computer work than ag work in a lot of it. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of students get caught up in that. They're gonna have to be out in the field.
They pay for college, you get a car and everything. One of the other gentlemen who used to work here, he moved recently, a couple years ago. He's an attorney, and they pay for his attorney, his school to be an attorney, but he's into agriculture, in the business thing. So keep that in mind, students.
So Morning, one of the other topics that people were really interested in learning more about are training and technical assistance and support. And wondered if you could share a little bit more about some of the programs that are available through OSU Extension. So everyone in the room, both here maybe in Cuyahoga, but I know there's stuff happening throughout the region and Worcester as well.
Yeah, so at the county level, we offer technical assistance in the form of if you come to our office and you're looking for help developing your business plan, or you need a crop rotation schedule, or you're looking to incorporate some other things into your operation aside from produce, we can help you out with that. Again, we have our market gardener training, which is for beginning farmers and gardeners who are looking to get started. They're not really sure where to go, so they need help with that business plan, with that marketing plan. They need to know, like, what if I don't want to grow fruits and vegetables? What if I want to grow cut flowers? What if I just want to raise chickens or graze sheep and goat, or have an apiary? We do different trainings within agriculture on different topics. Some of them are topic specific, some of them are all encompassing. It just depends on what your interests are and what you need to get done to make your money. What was the other part of the question?
Yeah, is there anything like Worcester regionally, anything else people should like either subscribe to or check out where they might get better training opportunities or programming related to agriculture?
Yeah, so in addition to some of the high tunnel workshops that we've done in Cleveland, OSU Worcester has their own high tunnel and controlled environment ag growing workshops at Worcester. You can go down there, typically $35 to $45, and it's a full day thing. You typically get lunch, and they take you through their controlled environment ag growing facility. You learn about how they do it there. Their setup is a little different because they employ some of the returning incarcerated individuals from, I think, the facility down there. But it's a lot more about like job creation and some of those like pathway careers that people can go through to get into ag. If that.
I've had a couple questions come up around zoning. I'm going to read them both. I'm opening this up to anybody who could add some context. Where can we get zoning information from about land use and livestock restrictions and requirements? And how are zoning updates being addressed to increase flexibility for people on smaller residential properties to better allow for gardening and animal husbandry? Does anyone feel like they could take a bite out of that up there?
I could do a little bit of that. So we did.
I have my eye on you.
Yeah. One thing to keep in mind with zoning is I don't think residential zoning restricts agricultural uses in Cleveland. So there's 18,000 vacant residential parcels out there. That's just kind of like, there's no need to kind of go in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals to build the garden thing. There is this forum-based code pilot project you might have heard about. That's happening in like a very limited area. I don't know exactly where. It's in like Detroit Shoreway, somewhere. Okay, great.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
Next
Okay.
to that kennel that Kevin was talking about earlier.
So that's sort of like an update to the zoning code. And Zainab actually led a great group of urban farmers and growers to talk about like how could that language about urban farming be more responsive to what makes sense to folks on the ground, because they just kind of copied what another city was doing kind of a generic way. So I think that language is pretty responsive and pretty open to what people have. If anybody encounters zoning issues, I'd be really curious to learn exactly what those are. In projects that we've done, and we've done almost like the full range of green space projects, from tree plantings on vacant lots to community gardens to large parks. The only zoning issue we had was like trying to build a pavilion that was too far set back from the line. It's very kind of a weird thing, but we had to go, all you have to do is go through the Board of Zoning Appeals, and they kind of wade you through because it's not that big of a deal. So I'd be really curious to know this. We also did some research, and I know some of the folks are in here. We did interviews with urban farmers, like long-term urban farmers, with the Case Western Reserve University Environmental Law Clinic to find out, like, is zoning the like prohibitive thing for urban farming? And that really didn't come up. It was more like land bank access and ownership of land. So if you're having issues with zoning, I'd be really curious to hear what those are, and we can kind of catalog them and do a deeper dive into how they might be resolved.
I think I'll hit on a little bit. We are developing, I'm a part of what is called the Department of Community Development is part of what is called the Integrated Development Cluster. That includes building and housing, planning, economic development, and community development. And so I interact with my colleagues quite a bit, so there's a few things that I want to mention. First is that there is, we are approaching to do a citywide plan. And so as a note for future advocacy work, if the previous city plans have been silent towards some of your concerns on gardens and agriculture, farming, even just green space in general, it would probably behoove you to start to go to those meetings as they become available for you all to go to, so that you're making sure that the next citywide plan incorporates some of that feedback. We also, as an integrated development cluster, have assigned some regional folks that are based on the city planners. So we have a community development and an economic development folks. These are two new teams that are within the same boundaries of the planner. And so you can reach out to your local city planner. That information is on the City Planning Commission's website. And you can get in contact with them if you have any more detailed questions about what zoning changes might be, or what's being planned in the area that you're perhaps interested in.
If I could just add one thing on that, with an ordinance though that blends in well, that was quarterbacked by former Councilman Joe Simpleman at City Council back in 2010. It was the chickens and bees ordinance. Those of you who know that, but can I just say, it is chickens and bees. It's not chickens, roosters, and bees, because your neighbors will hate you, So, but it does allow that if you want to have bees in your backyard, or to have some chickens, to have some eggs, that also, the ordinance was written in so you can have it on residential lots and have it on other land bank lots if you have a lease, to do that or something like that. But the legislation kind of blends in on areas throughout the city to do that. But again, it's chickens and bees, not chickens,
Roosters, that's right.
Although I'm a homeowner on West 140th, and somebody on the block has a rooster, and I don't mind it.
Alarm clock.
A little.
Kevin, I wonder if you could share a little bit more about the Garden for Greenbacks program, what people should know, because not, as Will was saying, not all grants and money is alike. What does a good application look like, applicant look like, and what should those funds be used for?
So, I anticipated this question. I did. So, if you go to our website, which is makeitincleveland.org, all one word, makeitincleveland.org, and then if you look at the top of the website, when it comes up, you'll see Grow and Expand. You click on that. And then you'll see also at the top, Incentives and Financing. You click on that. And voila, we made it for this program is the Gardening for Greenbacks. It pops up then. You click on that. So these are grants. They're not loans. These are just grants. When we created this back in 2008, originally it was grants you could apply up to $3,000, and we could fund all the things that you all need. You know, raised beds, tools, equipment, fencing, signage, even a booth if you wanted to sell produce, all that kind of stuff. All those are eligible. Hoop houses, you know, so if you apply for other grants on something, there still was a gap, we could help fund that gap. You know, those are all eligible, which is great. But what differentiates that program, though, the requirements on it, and it's not hard, is
I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a word.
You can't wake up in the middle of the night and decide, hey, you want to be an urban farmer, you want to apply for this. You know, you got to have some training or you have done it. So you got to at least have a course through OSU Extension or Riddle or something comparable to that. Okay, so that you're serious about this. And then here's the unique thing about this program is we want you to do it for 2 years. Okay, so we want you to farm for 2 years and we want you to do it as an entrepreneur. So we want you to sell your produce, whether you sell it curbside there. We can even connect you, which we have done, to local entrepreneurs. Cleveland has a great locally owned restaurants. I don't even know if we have a whole lot of national chains like Crapplebee's, Applebee's, you know, or something like that, you know, for a big chain. We have a lot of local entrepreneurs. And if you go talk to any of them in your neighborhoods or they're in the city of Cleveland, they love and will probably purchase tomatoes, greens, things like that from you. So we connected restaurants to the local entrepreneurs to sell this stuff. And then you just have to keep track of approximately what you sold and call that a report and send it to the city of Cleveland. That's what we ask, you know, on that. So, but those are outright grants. We have increased that to $5,000 years ago because with the money that the city of Cleveland put in, we ended up getting a phone call. This is a great story, I have to tell you this, about CoBank wanted to come up and their board, they're based in Washington, D.C. They farm big companies like Ocean Spray for the equipment to grow the cranberries and stuff. But their mission there is they wanted to go into urban farming. Who is doing it? So they Google searched it back years ago. And Cleveland and Minneapolis and Detroit were coming up as 3 cities. So they came up, CoBank came to Cleveland for a conference and we met with them and we showed them our small urban farmers what we were doing. And she said, well, maybe there might be some additional grant money that we might put in or something. And she said maybe around $10,000 or $20,000 or something like that to add your $50,000 pool that we recently have put in for this urban farming for the gardening for greenbacks. We did this tour. The urban farmers, you guys were great. The ones that we had back then, we showcased what we did. We did a compelling story. The very next day, we sat down with them. And the 3 organizations, CoBank, AgriBank, and Farm Credit Mid-America, each wanted to contribute funds that was a total of $135,000 for the program. That was a game changer for us too. You know, and of course at this time, the legislation was going on with chickens and bees, not roosters, as I said earlier, and including utilizing the water hydrants. So that really made a difference, and we did a lot of urban farmers because we upped the grant to $5,000. And especially this is 2011, 2012, 2013, we had a lot of vacant land, especially from the housing foreclosure crisis, you know, where the city demoed the house. So there's a lot of interest in that. So that program is still around today. So if you haven't applied, I see some people in the audience who have gotten funding from this program, or if you're interested, go to the website, work with the OSU Extension to get the training if that's something you want to do. It really is a great program. So I hope I answered your question.
Yes, that was great. Thank you. This is for anybody. This question is, how does farming help out people with special needs? And how can we use farming to make sure deaf and hard of hearing gets more active? So how do we think about these spaces so they are accessible and inclusive to all people? Anybody, anything you want to add? Oh, yes. Please tell me.
I can answer that, I guess, a little bit. it seems like, from what I know, most urban farmers have a space that you can do event space and things like that. At least I know I do. I know Jamel and Annabelle. We have tours and things like that. And we look forward, we try to make things accessible to everybody, and that includes people with wheelchairs and things like that. And even if somebody wanted to volunteer at some of our farms, some of our raised beds is high enough where they can do some things too.
If I could just add something onto that. So I don't know if it still exists today, but Cuyahoga County, I think the board of Cuyahoga County had a program called Saw Inc. And they doing business as Cleveland Crops, and they hired individuals who maybe had some severe autism or physical disabilities or other special needs that they had. And I know the Gardening for Greenbacks program, we gave them grant dollars also to help fund that. I don't know if that's still in existence. It's not I didn't think so. Yeah, that was, I didn't think it was, or on that. But that was around years ago, though, specifically for those with special needs.
So this is my final optional question for all of you. As we close out 2024, it's been an interesting year. A lot of changes happening. Climate change has been a very interesting one. I think we're all feeling this fall was very unusual. But as we look forward to 2025 and the new growing season, what opportunities for support or resources or programs might each of you be thinking about rolling out for next year that could support this wonderful room of fine people? Anybody can jump in. And you've been giving me us some previews, but feel free to go deeper. I see Will leaning in. Yeah, go for it.
I'll start. So one thing with NRCS, we have a roll-in application, so you can apply at any time. So in the past, we used to have a December 31st cutoff date. So you had to apply by December 31st, and then we had a ranking period where we ranked them and assessed them and all of that. Now they have like what's called Act Now. So you apply, and then we put everything through. So we've taken, long story short, we take applications on a consistent basis all year round with no application deadline. So there are different funding pools at times when we fund, so we fund every spring. But at any point in time, you can come in and put in an application. Only thing to apply is you have to be eligible, you have to be a farm. How do you become a farm? You go to a farm service agency over there, then you sign up for a farm and track number. You have to be actively growing to apply for our programs, and that's pretty much it. I'll leave it at that. My business card is on the table, phone number.
Thank you, everybody.
I think Tim's got one.
I've got a list. All right, and we have some copies of this list and like a sign-up sheet if you want to learn about any more of these things. But one of the things that we'll be offering in February or March is our tree steward training. So how many tree stewards are here? A couple? All right, cool. So if you want to become a tree steward, you can learn about urban forestry, how to plant trees, how to care for trees. That's free in February. You can sign up for that at our website. We also give away trees in the spring and the fall, and we do have food producing trees. Last year we had hickory, pawpaw, persimmons, and service berries. So keep an eye out. You can get 2 free trees if you're a resident in Cleveland. We have a number of vacant land projects going on right now. We are currently about to start constructing the Huff Community Green Space, which is just over here near the Thurgood Marshall Rec Center. And we're forming a Friends of group as a part of that in collaboration with Jamel and Village Family Farm. So if you're interested, if you live in the neighborhood and you want to be involved in that, you can kind of get involved there. We also have a really exciting grant to study how how improving vacant land, adding trees or other sort of green space amenities could have positive health outcomes on people's things like that. Take a question at the end, I think, yeah. But I appreciate the enthusiasm. So we're gonna be working in 4 neighborhoods: Buckeye, Woodhill, one neighborhood, Huff, St. Clair Superior, and Glenville. If you live in one of those neighborhoods, we want your voice as a part of this project. We also have some free events to learn more about native plants or pollinators and things like that. So those are all accessible through our website. Those are opportunities that are in the field, like going to visit one of the properties we've conserved to learn more about how that garden was constructed or how they're supporting pollinators. And we also have a lot of Zoom events with experts from around the country. Okay, and then my kind of plugs for other coalitions that we're a part of. The Parks and Green Space Coalition has a sweet new grant that is going to fund a lot of neighborhood connections projects, as well as a lot of advocacy and projects around city parks, which is kind of adjacent and overlapping with urban ag. So find Tate afterwards if you're curious about that. And then the Cleveland Tree Coalition has a new round of grant funding coming out in January. And lastly, we are a land trust and we do a lot of land conservation. So if you're interested in land conservation, we have kind of the full set of tools for doing those types of projects. So come find us whenever you want to.
I want to add one more thing. So one more thing for like students or anybody just needs volunteer hours for anything. We have what's called the Earth Team Volunteer Program. So if you need volunteer hours to graduate or whatever, you can come sign up and basically come work in the office with me. I kind of show you what I do and I'll find plenty for you to do. But, but if anybody need volunteer hours, we do have that program as well. Or if you just wanted to learn more about our office, that's an opportunity.
OSU has a Great Lakes Urban Environmental Education Fellowship Program going on. Applications are opening in December. They will close in February. You receive a stipend to conduct any type of urban environmental education project you would like. You get paired up if you are a non-classroom educator, so you're doing an after-school program, or you have like an after-school club, or you do summer programming. You get matched up with a classroom educator who will work with you during the school year. You guys can partner up, create a program. I'm not sure what exactly the dollar amount is for the stipend, but you get paid to participate in this program.
City friends, anything you want to sneak peek for us?
So I just want to take a moment to step back and have you all look around the room at one another. And but y'all not doing it, okay. I want you to remark and I want you to see what I see, which is a beautiful, diverse audience. And that doesn't happen in all of our spaces, in all of our rooms. But the great thing about that is when we get to hear diverse perspectives, we get to have better programming. So instead of me telling you what to expect, I'm going to ask you to continue to advocate for the things that you want to see in this community. You have friends in City Hall. Our ears are open as we are still transitioning and continuing to do this work. We want to talk to folks who have been in the trenches doing this work for many generations and many decades. And so we want to hear from you. So I don't want to spout off what programs we have. I want to encourage you to tell us what programming you need so that we can make sure that we are being responsive to the needs of our residents.
Thank you so much.